I will do the introduction and we start. Um, Hi everyone, welcome to EB Education Consult. As we have long anticipated today's session, we're using today's session to provide insight and answers to some of your questions regarding studying abroad and a scholarship application abroad. Today I have with me Miss Emanuela Safuwa Bredu. She is a PhD student at the University of Georgia. She had a scholarship to study masters at North Dakota State University. Following that, she head on to study PhD also under scholarship at the.
I think we will have to wait for him to rejoin.
Yeah,
The, the network must be bad.
yeah. How are you, Daniel?
I'm doing good though. How are you too?
Yeah, I'm good. I guess you're back from church. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I think I lost all the connections.
Good to have you back.
So yeah, let's I was talking about one of our guests, Emanuela, who studied masters at the North Dakota State University and currently a PhD student at University of Georgia in the United States. And Danny Legend, who also studied masters, fully funded, and some of you might have experienced him on our channel. Today he's here again to help us get some answers to our questions we have regarding studying abroad and also application for scholarships or fully funded programs abroad. If you are just joining us, we entreat you to put your questions in the comment section and we will tackle them one after the other. Today is open forum question and answer session, and we already have some questions that came to us in the course of the week. We will start with those questions and then we will tackle your live questions as we move along. Welcome, Danny and Emanuela.
Thank you.
Thank
Interestingly, I had a lot of questions from our listeners,
Listeners.
our respondents, and I want us to start with the main questions and maybe um, whatever you have regarding those questions, opinion you have regarding those questions, or answers or responses, you will share, and then we will move on to the next. In case there will be follow up, I would come back to you with the follow up questions. The first question I have here is what one needs to do before getting a scholarship abroad. It's quite a broad question, but let's see if we can help this person. How do or what one must do before getting a scholarship abroad? In other words, I think there was also a similar question regarding preparation towards studying abroad and then scholarship application. So maybe I will put this together and then we can answer it in such a way that if you have any tips regarding what preparation must be put in place before applying to study abroad or before applying for scholarship abroad. Any of you can start.
All right, ladies first.
All right. I would say your first step is decision making, which is very tough. You need to decide on where you want to study because there are a lot of countries in the world. So if you want to study abroad, where you want to study is very important. We have UK, United States, Germany. and all that, and also the level of education. So it can be a master's program or a PhD program, and sometimes undergraduate, depending on where you are. Like maybe depending whether you're SHS leaver, you'll be needing your bachelor's, and you're done with your bachelor's, then you could do a master's or PhD. And another thing I also want to talk about is also you also look at the eligibility too after this decision or the requirement of uh, what you want to do. So we have a lot of things. People are in the health sector, while you the business sector, the agricultural sector. So you need, and these are broad ones. Even within the business sector, they have what is it called, business administration and all that. So you need to decide on the program you want to study and the eligibility. In my case, I will talk about agriculture because that is where I am. So if I decide to study abroad and I'm going to study agriculture, the next thing I'll think about is looking at the countries that are, I mean, that I can study agric in. Those countries can be Netherlands, in agriculture. You can think about Netherlands, US, and all those things. And within the agriculture, we have animals, we have crops, we have even economics, agri-economics and agribusiness. So I would decide maybe to narrow it down. So in that order. So all these things comes with decision making. And one thing to our advice is that when you're also selecting a course, when it comes to that, some may have found some fundings and some may not. For example, is business the business related course here in the United States, they have limited fundings. So if you want to look at that, and it's highly competitive. So if you are selecting a course, maybe you can select what you want and other related courses. So people now do business related course, and they link it to health sector, like public business health, something like that, public business administration with public health, like that. I see masters like that, and then others to move to agribusiness, like it's agriculture and business together. So you need to be very smart and strategic about these things. You look at where fundings are based on. Yeah, thank you.
Great. So we'll go to Danny for his opinion on this question.
All right, thank you. So, like you said, it's a very broad question, but I would say that if I should tackle it, I would say that what do you also have? Sometimes we say, yes, I want to study abroad, but what are your credentials? Is it just high school you have, and what is the level you also intend to pursue? I pursue a master's or a PhD, or is it a bachelor's you want? Sometimes people come and they say, "Oh, I want to do a master's, but I have high school certificate." Like it's very difficult, so you can't just jump like that, unless of course you're jumping from bachelor's to a PhD. That one, some schools will allow you to do that. So you need to check what you have, and is what you have enough? Because you can have a bachelor's degree and you want to pursue a master's. But let's talk about your GPA. Is it good? You know, because if you have like maybe 1 point something or 2.0, 2.3 out of a scale of 4, it's going to be harder for you to get a fully funded master's. It's possible, but it will be very hard because I don't want to completely discourage you. It will be very hard. You probably have to write GRE and score very high to make up for the bad grades. So, what do you have? What are your credentials? And then number two, what does the school want? Because what do you have and what the school wants? When we have an intersection of those two, then there's a full scholarship possible. So, do you meet the admission requirements? Every time people ask me, will this school admit me? I'm like, go and check their requirements. What do they want? Do they want a 3.0 GPA? Do they want someone who has written a GRE? And if yes, what are the scores they are looking at? What is the English proficiency requirement they are looking at? So that's what I would say. Check to see that what you have meets with what the school wants, and then it will be a good starting point for you in your journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What I would like to add to these great responses is the fact that, as Danny said, what do you have? I think that when people are thinking of studying abroad, um, in general, and probably applying for scholarships abroad, they should also consider what basic document that will be required on their part, to be able to fulfill this application requirement, right? In most, if not all, countries or universities, you are required to have your transcript. Transcripts are documents which are given automatically uh, on graduation date. Some even certificates, some do not get them on graduation day. So these are fundamental documents that will be needed when you intend to study abroad. So before you even start consulting people and ask for help, you should have these basic documents readily available, so that if you are going to Danny to ask him, can you check if I will be suitable for this university, for this scholarship, he can ask you, can you send me your transcript to see what you have, what you have studied, how strong is your GPA, and all those stuff. If you don't have that, you are not prepared to apply to study abroad. Some also come. Of course, I had one lady ask me to apply for school for her cousin who is in Ghana. He has graduated from one of the universities, and when we interacted, I even realized the guy doesn't have a passport. And for these particular universities, you have to sorry, for these particular universities, you have to fill in your passport number before you can move on with the application. So not having a passport is even a first disqualification to be able to apply for the study. So this is just what you guys didn't mention that I want to add to. Otherwise, whatever you have said, I 100% agree with you. Please, if you have joined us, kindly send through your questions via the comment section, and we would attend to you accordingly. The next question I want us to take a look at is how to get a scholarship in the US and other countries to study PhD courses in public health. That's quite huge, but maybe some fundamental ideas that you have would be okay. If we are not able to exhaust all these today, probably we will research and then provide some information on the on in the comments for our listeners or audience to look at them later on. But if you have any insight, please do share with us. Now I will start with Daniel.
Okay, I thought the PhD question will go for the PhD candidate. All right.
Okay.
All right. So, okay, but I'll still
Well,
take it.
okay. So, okay, I I will start for you then. Then you
Okay,
come
all
in.
right.
Um, um, in the person was a bit specific in USA and other countries. I am not in USA, but I will start with USA because I have some knowledge and experience doing such application. So in public health related programs in the USA, several schools do offer funding on admission. Some do. Others too have fundings, but the fact that you qualify for admission doesn't necessarily qualify you for the funding. So when you are talking, when it's about the United States of America, you should know which school automatically gives you funding upon admission. Another way to look at it is that on LinkedIn, specific professors or laboratories or principal investigators, I think that those who are studying PhD will know what a principal investigator is. It's like the leader of the lab or the research group, advertise specific positions. It could be global health position, PhD position, or public health position. and with this they spell out the conditions associated with the position. So if it is fully funded, they will state it. Stipend, they will state it. They in US they will usually quote how much they would provide to a successful applicant per annum. So maybe 23,000 USD per annum for a successful candidate, and tuition waiver and stuff, you know. And for some universities like Harvard, like John Hopkins, uh, um, Columbus, sorry, University of Columbia, and all those, they provide certain amount of funding, but sometimes you also have to look at how much they are providing in terms of funding to how much the total cost of you taking the program would be. Because I have seen just before this session, I have seen a post where someone gets 56,000 USD for public health at Harvard. I think it's a 1 year program. However, the total cost is over 100,000, USD. So 50,000, 56,000 will sound so much or a lot of money to you, but it will not even cater for the total cost of the 1 year that you will have to spend at Harvard. So it is very key to read critically the requirement to qualify for funding. For example, in most molecular biology and biochemistry, biological sciences program, they state students accepted into PhD, this PhD program are fully funded. And then you know that this, when you get admission, you are going. In some cases, they write 85% of our international students are fully funded or are funded. Now you have to find out what type of funding is available for them, whether it's full or partial, whether it's assistantship or assistantship, teaching assistantship or research assistantship, and it fits same with the public health PhD programs. In other countries, PhD is more or less like a job. For example, in Norway, PhD is a job, whether it's a and then, for example, also in Luxembourg, whether it's in public health or in whatever area, it's kind of a job. So they spell out a contract of maybe 3 years or 4 years for you, and you apply even as you are applying for a job. And once you are accepted, you know that you are going to be fully funded and be given monthly stipend to meet your needs. And then also there is public health, I think, in Sweden, for international students, and it's also fully funded. When you read about the advertisement or the program, it gives you a detailed information whether it's fully funded or it's not fully funded. So be committed to reading more about the program of interest, and then making sure that you understand all that the program offers in terms of funding or scholarship before you start to apply. If you are not quite sure about what the offer is about, you can write to inquire or clarify from the study program. Thank you very much. If you have any responses or any addition, you can go ahead and add that.
I
Okay.
think I like the fact that you spoke about it being a job. It's like, yes, you are doing research, but you are really seen as a worker, a full-time worker. And I think same also goes for the masters. But since this question is towards PhD, uh, look at the schools that are offering the program, right? That is your first step as well. Yes, they have a master's, they have a PhD of the public health administration program, and there are also certain courses that require certain extra documentation or even fees. I think public health folks go for, they pay something we call SOFAS. I don't know if it
Yes.
applies to one school or multiple schools here. So you also have to look at that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, check the requirements on the website. If you feel that there's something you need to know, but it's not outrightly stated on the website, you can forward an inquiry email to the grad admissions coordinator, and you can get answers from there. So that's all that I can say about PhD since I don't have so much experience.
Okay. I also would like to add something to it. What I know is that some of the bioscience industries, they sometimes also want some research to be done. So they contract some universities or certain people in the form of fellowship to also, apply for the PhD program and all that. So that is an aspect for that. It's not really common, but you could see them unless you search for them, and then you can notice such opportunities. And another thing too, I would like to also talk about when it comes to that, if you belong to, the person made mention of public health. I know they have a public health association here, like maybe of America, Association of America, or Societies of America, of those places. Sometimes today, these when these offer come, they send directly to their members first before it comes out on LinkedIn and those things. So if you have the money, apply to be a member for such organizations, and just write that you're a student, because students fee is more cheaper than other professionals and those in the industry. So you can apply to be a member for, maybe I don't know what they call them for the public health, but society, maybe Public Health Society of America, or whatever they are called. Yes, you can apply to be them, because for them, their members is their top right. So any opportunities, they push to them first before it comes out to the general public. So those are the two things I would like to add to. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for all the insightful responses. The third question that I want us to look at is well, how best can one apply for a scholarship? It's not so specific, so I would skip that one, and we will look at, as a third class holder, how do I get a fully funded scholarship in abroad to apply place?
As a third class, okay. So for people that didn't do so well in school, I would say that you should write the extra exams like the GREs, the GMATs, and also write a very strong statement of purpose. Because sometimes your statement of purpose and then your results in the exams, the other proficiency exams, can overshadow the weight of the bad grades. If I should permit me to use bad grades, it will overshadow the weight of the bad grades. So the admissions coordinator can look at your profile and say, okay, your GPA was maybe 2.1 out of a 4 or out of a 5. But is there any other thing you can offer? What happened during your school time? Was it that you fell sick? Was it that something happened? Maybe you were emotionally unstable or mentally unstable that caused you not to do so well. I mean, there are so many things that could be a factor to why someone didn't do so well in school. It's not always the fact that people didn't study or people are in quotes slow. So you can come from that perspective, especially if you have a genuine reason that something happened that affected your grades. But if not, you would also want to do very well in your the proficiency exams. Either you're writing good, you are scoring good scores on the IELTS TOEFL or the GRE GMAT, and then prepare a very strong, convincing statement of purpose. I think that once you do this, it can really help you if you had low grades.
Okay. Additionally, I also
This is
add
great.
that additionally, you can also work on your experiences, because it's key, depending on the type of funding you want, whether it's a teaching assistantship, or research assistant. You can start volunteering in this. If you're in Ghana, you can start volunteering with corp research, just learn some basic stuff about research, and then how to publish. Even with them, if you start volunteering and all that, they can even write good recommendation for you. That's the key thing, good recommendation. And also, one thing is that they will also even guide you. Some can even put in their papers, even though you have low GP and all that. And that can also, apart from what Danny said, that can also help you, give you the upper hand, because you already have papers, even irrespective of your low GPA. that's for the research area, or teaching, you have teaching experiences, and you can command the class and all that. So that one is key. So experiences here, I will say, is important too. Yeah. Thank you.
I agree with all, and I don't want to add further. Maybe if somebody wants to probe further, you can contact Danny Legend. All his channel from Facebook, YouTube, and where
TikTok. Yeah.
TikTok
Yeah.
by the name Danny Legend.
Yeah.
Then he can provide extra insight to you, and yeah. So that will be it for now. But also, like Emanuela said, I think that it's key to show that you have some experiences. Maybe not that you were excellent at your academic work, but your professional life, you are doing well for yourself, can be considered. Um, I would like to know more about scholarships. No, do you secure scholarships and admission at the same time? This is one short question. Danny, can you take that for us?
Okay. So it depends on the school. Some schools would say that you should apply separately, and then other schools will say, when you gain admission, we are going to tell you if we gave you funding. And I think that recently, the most popular one is that the decision comes together with the admission. So they are going to tell you, mine, for instance, when it came, was like, okay, we are giving you this amount in funding that is covering 16 months, okay, or this covering 12 months. I have a friend who had his and it was covering 4 months. So that one varies. But what is happening recently that I have seen is that most schools are giving you the funding notice together with your admission notice. That being said, there are still other schools that would let you apply separately or
Danny, please, can you
afterwards.
pause? Emanuela, can you hear the breaks in Danny's voice, or it's only me who can hear that?
No, I did not notice that.
Ella, can you hear Danny clearly, or there has
Yeah,
been
I
some
can.
breakages?
Yeah, I can hear Daniel. Yeah, I can hear Daniel well. I
Okay.
can hear him
Oh,
well.
okay,
Yeah.
so maybe it's coming. Okay, so it's coming from my end. All right,
Is
Danny,
it
please
still,
continue.
do you still have the feedback?
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. So as I was saying, some would come with funding, some will not. Yeah, basically that's it. Yeah.
All right, Ella, any addition?
Yeah, I think Daniel have said it. Yeah, I think some comes with funding that some do not, like what he said. So I don't have anything to say.
Can you hear us? Can
Hello,
you
are
hear
you
us?
speaking?
Yeah, I said I agree with what Daniel said earlier, and I don't have any additional comments.
I
Oh,
don't
okay.
I don't think he's can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I'm not sure what's happening here, but the network seems quite terrible for
Oh,
me here. Can you hear me properly?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, I think it's from your end because I can hear Ella, she can hear me.
All right. So let's take the next question. Someone is asking, what is the best period to apply for a school and scholarship? Um, I think this one I will leave it to those people in the US to talk more about the US aspect. But for other countries, um, the application date for the program is always usually open, so you can apply within the opening to closing date, uh, within closing and sorry, opening and closing date for the program, this program you intend to study. Some of them would open it for just 1 month, so within that 1 month you should complete your application. But in the US, where they have multiple uh, seasons of application. That is where I would leave my colleagues to talk about that.
Daniel, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I always tell people that if you want to apply for school, you should be targeting anywhere 8 months before the school starts date. 8 months to 1 year before the school start date. If you are targeting PhD, you have to really widen the gap. For PhD, you need like maybe 1 year ahead. But masters, sometimes 6 months is enough. Yes, because the reason is that some of these schools would decide on funding and have a priority deadline before they even, it's like, for example, if you want to be funded this 2025 August, okay, fall semester, most schools will tell you that if you apply by 15th January 2025, we'll consider you for funding. However, 15th January is not the deadline. The deadline is 1st March. But if you apply before 15th January, we'll consider you for funding. That means that from January to August, that was like what, 8 months, right? You needed like 8 months to prepare. So that was your timing. And as I do get messages, people are like, oh, maybe fall semester is going to be in August, and the person will come around June and it's like, can I apply? No, you are late. Yeah. So June, you are looking at January, right? That's what I'm saying, that you always have to give that gap, like 8 months to 1 year gap. Even for those of you who want to go for 2025, you may still be in time for funding, but your chances are low. So you have to start targeting 2026 January. That one, you are very early. Even right now, if you start applying, you are very, very early. So always give that substantial gap before applying for school. Yeah. And always check the dates on the website. Check the priority deadline, check the regular deadline decision. There are times that international students have their own deadline and domestic students have their deadline. So you also have to be aware of that. Thank you.
Before Ella comes in, what I want to highlight also is that in majority of US universities that I have seen, they have funding for programs starting in the fall semester. Okay. And then also, like you said, some priority dates for 2025 scholarships or full funding in 2025 elapsed by 1st of December 2024 or 31st of December 2024. Some elapsed 15th of January 2025, and so on and so forth. So yes, most universities will consider you for funding for but there are exceptions to this rule where, like he said, if you want to start the spring semester or something, a lecturer or a professor may have a space to accommodate new students and fund them. So it is important to check the information on the university and the program website, and if need be, inquire. Where he says you should think of and start 8 months, 6 months, even 1 year in advance, it's very true, because for PhD and for some universities, you are required to write student statements or student essays, the statement of purpose and then the personal statement. And mainly for the statement of purpose, some of them require that you have interacted with a potential supervisor who would agree that he's accepting student before by that period and is ready to fund students. Writing to these people and communicating can take very, very long time. So if it's like 1 week to deadline, 2 weeks to deadline, 1 month to deadline, and you are going to rush as a potential supervisor, they will see that you are not a serious student. You are not prepared. If you have prepared, you would have started communicating long before the application even open, to secure a place for you, so that by the time the application opens, you put it through, you have already someone as a guarantee for you to go through the process smoothly. So that is where I agree with Danny when he says that you should have some period also to think about when to apply and what to how to go about the application. Ella,
Yeah, you guys have said it all. Like you're just giving me I'm you're just giving me this kind of reminiscent thing. Like I remember when I was applying for PhD, I wrote to a professor, and the professor told me that he has the slot on I think the slot for master student 2025, and that's at that time it was 2023. So you can imagine, so
Wow.
it's good to always reach out to faculty members earlier, ahead of time, even before you start your admission, because some look at, we are now in 2025, maybe that is the time the master's program is available. So please, what he said is very true. And another thing is also to understand the intakes. I know for us, most of the website I went through, they have three major intakes. That is the fall intake, and the spring and summer. The summer intake is mostly for research assistants, not teaching assistant. Teaching assistant, they don't do summer, they don't give that slot. So take note of the intakes, and then make use of them. That is the fall, spring, and summer. So if you're a research assistant, you have these three, but the summer is not really common unless it's a project based. The PI is starting that project right during that summer, because I started my research assistance during the summer in
oh, okay.
2021. So you can get that clue to start in summer. So I think make good use of them. The deadlines on the websites and all that, make good use of them. Yeah, that's what I would like to say.
Thank you. I would like to take one of the questions on online, and it's about writing sample. Please enlighten us on writing sample. Enlightening us on writing sample will be the best. Some universities require us to upload our writing sample. Philip Ankoma is asking this question. I have an idea, but I will let my colleagues start. If they have if they have any experience or knowledge about writing sample, I will let them start, and then I would add up.
I guess the PhD folks have writing sample experience. We the master students, we didn't write. At least for
Okay,
my program, I didn't write. So yeah, over to
okay,
you guys.
okay. Okay,
Writing
Ella, do I
some
go or you go? Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
the writing sample, is it in terms of what statement of purpose and all those things?
No. Okay, so let me tell you. For some universities,
Okay.
they require a written work of the person as as it pertains to research in most cases, or a term paper. You know, um, from my perspective, the best writing sample you could submit should be a published work. And the reason is that for published work which has been published in a peer reviewed journal, it means that it has gone through the right scrutiny and has passed through the right scrutiny, and it has come out as an accepted document. So the the supervisor doesn't even need to do extra evaluation of that document once it has been published in a peer reviewed journal. However, I realize that most students do not have, especially at least those that I have dealt with, they do not have um
Publishing.
published work, right? At best, it's their bachelor's thesis or the master's thesis. However, sometimes the quality of these theses are nothing to write home about. I'm not trying to discourage anyone or trying to downlook downplay anybody's work, but they do some basic work just to pass, just to get their pass and graduate and go away. So, and again, some of the requirement of the writing sample is such that you don't have to upload all the over 50 pages, over 100 pages thesis that you say nobody is ready to read it. So probably where your contribution is very much revered, if you want to submit just only the literature review aspect of the work, you can capture that and then submit that. Introduction is not good enough because it will not say so much about how you are even able to analyze information and organize them, because introduction mainly 1 to 2 pages is enough. So what I would advise is that, like Danny said, if you are envisaging enrolling on PhD programs or something, you have at least 1 year to start preparing. You can reorganize your thesis and make a publishable manuscript out of it, get it submitted, and then once you are successful with it, you will you will be uh, good. It will be a good first step to go. And also, writing samples are asked in relation to a particular field of study. So sometimes, let's say you did um business administration, and Emanuela was saying that because business administration is not really funded in US, and you can look at um, agribusiness or health management or something of the sort, and you are required to
Health,
present a,
public.
a writing sample. If you would present the writing sample from your your business administration, it might not sit too well with the program you intend to study, the further program you intend to study. So, what will be suitable is to find the intersection of what you did and what you want to do. And even if it is a literature review that you want to write about this area, have a new written document and submit. But the best will be a published work from you, or where you are a major contributor of the work. The next question, because we're running out of time, again, I will take from Osei Kweku Buache. Please, I want to ask, after the application, do you still have to apply for a scholarship, or you will be given automatically? I don't expect these questions, but they are coming, so let's answer them anyway. Just quickly, you know.
Okay, I think that it's competitive. That's one thing we have to always remember. I think that we always have to remember that scholarships are competitive. First thing, remember it's competitive, and some, like I was saying, some of them you'd have to apply together. And then when you're filling the application on the portal, on the school portal, they can ask you, would you want to be considered for assistantship? And then you have the opportunity to select yes or no. If they don't ask you that when you're filling the info on the portal, you also want to include that in your statement of purpose. Don't focus on it too much, but then you can talk about the fact that, oh, you will be very glad to receive the position of a research assistant or a teaching assistant based on this, that, or that experience that you have. And you feel like you can be a valuable addition to the department. So that is how I would say approach it, at least from my perspective. Maybe someone else has something, but I would say that whenever you have the opportunity to say that you want assistantship, please say it. And if you're not given that opportunity, put that in your statement of purpose so they know that this is what you really want. Yeah. Otherwise, they're going to think that you have money to fund yourself. Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
specifically for most US universities. Thank you. And
Yes.
also, Manuela will come in, but before she comes in, what I want to say is, or re-emphasize, is what Danny said. If they are going to fully fund you, they're gonna state it there clearly. Okay. If it is not there, you have to inquire if the university or the department provides some form of assistantship, or yeah, for students, or funding for students. and sometimes they will direct you to the funding coordinator of the department, and they will send you a link to a plethora of funding opportunities, some of which you may not qualify because you are not a U.S. citizen, or you are not a citizen of the state, and but some of them you have to search. So don't assume that every admission comes automatically with scholarship. No, unless they have stated it there, you don't have to assume that you get scholarship because you have been admitted. Ella, Ella. Okay,
I
we
think
lost.
I think she's on mute. Or
Yes, yeah. So there is a question here. In applying for graduate assistantship in USA, is GRE publication or GMAT important if they have stated it as optional? And I want us to start from where you started, even though that was specifically to the third the third class students. But I think that you can share some insight on this, Danny.
okay. So if it's optional, do we your question is that if it's optional, do we still send it in?
O- So let me say it again. Um, in applying for graduate assistantship in the USA, is GRE publication or GMAT important if they have stated it as optional, and
Oh,
if
okay.
this program is fully funded? Yeah.
Okay. So so if a school says that something is optional, it simply means that if you have that thing, it will give you a competitive edge over the average person. But then at the same time, if you don't have it, it does not mean that we would not read through your application. That's what they are trying to say when they say something is optional. Because if it's optional, then why don't you just take it out? Right? But they still keep it there and say, oh, GRE is optional. If you applied and I have GRE and I did so well in my GRE, you know they'll consider me above you because I have something that is optional but it's still very good. So I would say that yes, it's optional. And that is why I always tell people that don't apply to schools that are highly competitive when you don't have certain things. If you don't have a GRE score, or you never written the exam, or you don't have a publication, you don't want to be applying to top tier schools because those are schools that they are taking GRE, they are taking publications, and even if they say it's optional, they are good students who still send it. So you have to know your stance. Okay, know yourself, know thyself, like the philosopher said. So know thyself, and then know that, okay, based on what I have right now, like I was saying early on, you need to know what you have. Based on what you have right now, where or which kind of school would be a best fit for you, looking at the fact that you don't have these optional documents they want. Okay. So yes, it's optional. You can still get in, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's going to be highly competitive for you because there are other students who are equally good who have those things that are optional, and they will turn it in when they are applying. And when the admissions board sees those documents, it'll be like these people are doing the extra mile above the other student who doesn't have those things. So it makes it a little bit challenging for you to get the scholarship, although you can. Thank you.
Exactly. And it even tells your preparedness to be a graduate student, right? But I will come to that. I will let Ella share her opinion on this particular one. If stating some documents as optional is still important to include them in your application. Okay. Ella is having issue with the internet, so I would just add a little bit to Danny's what he's already said. So, as he said, if me and Danny are having the same GPA, okay, the same study program, and we are competing, and like he said, you don't even know how many people are applying for that same particular program. You don't know how many they are going to accept for for full funding. So you don't have to leave anything to chance. If they say it's optional, it will still give a competitive advantage to somebody who have it. And even if the person has it and has an average score of the GRE and you have nothing, the person still stands a chance. And also, most importantly, for people who have left the classroom uh, for a long period of time. So they say they have the traditional student and the non-traditional student. Those who have had like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years break from your academic activities. It's having this graduate exams. It's a way to tell the people that you still have that academic propensity to be a good academic material or to go through strenuous academic exercises. So even though they are optional, the if you have them, it's it widens your chance of succeeding in your funding application. And again, I would encourage people who are seeking scholarship in the USA to, as much as possible, have these. I know Danny who is talking had GRE or something like JMAT, and that got him this
Jerry.
funding. Yeah, I have had another person on this program who wrote GRE during his national service, and that gave him the opportunity to be considered for masters on scholarship. And people, other people will share similar topics. So the fact that they say it's optional and you don't have, like he said, if you don't have, fine, you can try. But trust me, if somebody has and the person submit those scores, they will stand at a higher advantage over you. Ella, is there anything you want to add to this? We lost you due to connection, and I think you still have connection problem. All right, there is a question here from Jeremy Secom, which is also similar to a question I have here. And so I will merge the two. He is asking, do we always have to evaluate our transcript to stand a chance of getting funding? And the question I had here was the role of credential evaluation in attracting funding and admission, specifically for US and then Canada schools. What do you think, Danny?
Okay, so there are two terminologies when it comes to transcripts that you're going to hear or see on a school website. The first one is official transcript, and the second one is evaluated transcript. An official transcript simply means that it should come directly from your school through a mailing system. So you will communicate with your school, your local school, for example, in Africa, and then tell them that send my transcript to this school in the US. Now that's an official transcript. So long as the transcript comes from you, or if it comes from you, it becomes unofficial. That's not what they want. Unless they've told you that apply with an unofficial transcript, that one should come from you. But if it's official, it should be mailed from your local school to your prospective school. And then number two is the evaluated transcript. Evaluated transcripts are done when the American school want to understand the educational system and grading system that you use in Africa. When they see your grades, they don't really understand what it is. So go and evaluate it into our system so that we can understand what your A's and B's, how strong they are. Okay, so that is evaluated transcript, and it's supposed to be done through a credential evaluation agency like WES.org or foreigncredentials.com or Spantran, Scholaro. Those are credential evaluation agencies. So when they say evaluated, once you see that evaluated word, it means that use an agency to convert your grading system into the US system. And then the agency will send that document to your prospective school with your name, your full legal name, and then they mail it to them. So that is the difference. So when you go to a website, you need to check what kind of transcript do they want. Do they want an official transcript or an evaluated transcript? And then you take action based on that information. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, on what Danny has said, another caveat that I'm going to add to this is that I didn't even know that this evaluation has an advantage. I have seen people have maybe 3.2 from a university in Ghana, 3.2 over 3.4 or whatever, and they did a credential evaluation and they had maybe 3.4. And I have read from some prominent PhD students in USA talking about um credential evaluation boosting your grade, to make it comparable. So maybe, and especially for those who are using CWA,
Right.
cumulative weighted average, like those from tech and stuff,
Yes. Yeah.
eh, you get KNUST, and if beyond Ghana, those who are still using this system, that is not what the Americans use. And so even if they cannot appreciate a GPA scale, which is the same similar to what they use there, and they want you to evaluate that, you can imagine how useful credential evaluation for CWA will mean. Some people had maybe 69% or 70%, and it's first class, and they evaluated, and they had like 3.7. Sorry, yeah, 3.7 over 4 or 3.8 over 4, which still make them a first class student. And trust me, it's useful, but like you ask, it's not always. It depends on the school's application requirement. Some schools would definitely demand that. For example, most universities who offer public health via the SOFAS system, they will require you to do that. And this means that if you have bachelor's, masters, and you're applying for PhD, you have to do all these too, and each of them will cost you some money. um Another aspect I want us to look at it from admission and scholarship perspective is that, it can be a bit costly for the average Ghanaian or African or uh, person coming from developed country. So everybody want to skip this process. So they would be biased towards applying to schools that would accept unofficial transcripts for the purpose of admission decision, and then later ask for official transcript. What it means is that because a lot of people are going to go for universities where they do not require credential evaluation, there would be those universities who are not requiring credential evaluation would have a lot of people to access, and so the competition will be higher depending on their qualification. Whilst less and less people will want to consider the credential evaluation before applying. So the schools who are requiring will have certain caliber of applicants, and once you fulfill the minimum requirement, you see that you are not going to compete with so many people. So maybe you would have a higher success chance with schools that are requesting for credential evaluation, but the hurdle you have to jump is funding the cost of the credential evaluation. And I will say same for schools that are waiving application fee or free application fee. Everybody wants to save the $100 application fee, the $75 application fee, the $95 application fee. So if a university is charging $10 application fee, like Michigan Tech University, you will know that hundreds of people, thousands of people are going to apply to that university, and that program. Meanwhile, they might be taking 25 people or even less for that for a particular year. So know the advantages and the disadvantages of some of these free thing, credential evaluation thing and stuff, and know how to use them to your advantage. About the publication, it's great. If you have publication at your master's level, it's great. If you have publication, if you are able to publish your bachelor's work, it's great, because the graduate research work would require that you exhibit some skills of a future researcher. And if you have started on that note already before applying, you are a step ahead of those who have not attained that level. So, any opportunity to stand out in your application, don't undermine it. Go for it, and it will be quite advantageous in gaining admission as well as obtaining funding for your studies. Ella, now you are stable, so I think we can hear from you. So somebody asked how to convert CWA to a GPA
Yeah.
of your
I'm
preferred school.
sorry.
I think you
And
can
I
hear me.
think, hello, Danny, what did you say?
I was saying that we can hear Ella now. I think we she spoke. Sure,
Oh,
sure.
okay. Ella, please go ahead.
Or we've lost her.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
apologize for the network glitches I have. About the I don't know whether Danny mentioned that earlier about the converting. You've lost me.
We can hear
No, we've
you.
not lost you, but I
Hello.
can't hear
I
clearly. I
think
don't
there's
know if
some
Danny can hear
latency.
you
It takes
clearly.
time. It takes time for her to hear us. There's some
What's
Okay.
latency.
going on?
But you can speak. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, oh, okay. Yeah, I
Okay.
was saying that
Ella, please try to fix your
some
internet.
we have evaluation. All right, let me see.
Try to fix your internet. I would ask one quick
Able to.
question, and then we'll
Can you
come
hear
to
me?
you. We'll come back. Yes, now we can hear you. Yes, now we can hear you. Okay, so there is a question from
Okay.
one of our audience. He is asking, um, how do you tailor your CV and letter of motivation to apply for a course seeking professional experience? Wow. So on this same channel, on this same channel from where you're asking the question, I have I have videos on
Studio.
application essays, and also I
Pictures.
have videos on CV writing. So please go there, watch them, and if
Studio.
you are not convinced, put your questions in the comment, and I will respond to them accordingly. Now Ella is here. Ella, please go ahead. Wow. Okay. Ella, we lost Ella, but I think she's going to come back. Um, how do you know which master's scholarship to apply for when you graduated with a second class upper? Um, I think it's similar to the third class question, Danny, right?
So
So,
his question,
go ahead.
yeah, he's asking what kind of masters to apply for based on his results. I want to get the question clearly.
So he's saying that how do you know which master's scholarships to apply for when you graduated with a second class upper?
Yeah, so it all boils down to I think the question is being framed differently, but we've actually answered it already. It boils down to looking at the admission requirements. So is the GPA they want good enough for what you are presenting? You also have to look at schools that would accept students with a certain GPA range. I have one TikTok video where I listed about 7 universities. that would take students with a GPA of 2.5 and above. So second class usually is around 2 point something. So you have to look at those schools. You can always also Google schools that would accept a GPA of 2.5 or 2.4, and Google will give you some results. You go through that, list the schools. This is going to take some time. Get an Excel sheet, write down the schools, write down the minimum requirements, like just partition everything. What documentations do they want? What is the GPA they require? What is the name of the school? Where is it located? What is the admission office email? Compartmentalize all those things, and then you do your research accordingly. And I feel that when you do that, you should come across some good schools that would give you funding, even if your GPA is less than 3.0. So that's how you look for them.
Okay.
There isn't necessarily the name of a scholarship that is given out to students who don't have a first class. Like, you just have to go in deeper and see who would take the GPA you have. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the question, if it's just about which master's program to apply to as a second class upper student, if it's a master's program in your field of study, every university you will be qualified to apply, because the minimum for some is, for example, in USA, even the top uni, their minimum is um 3.0, right?
Yeah.
But if it is about funding, that is when you are thinking about the uh, competitiveness of your grade, and it's not only about the grade. Some, you would have a second class upper, but some are also looking for specific um, uh, um, qualification or requirements. For example, Australia awards scholarship, and this Australian award scholarship for Africa, in Africa, is requesting that a person will be working in the area of development, and this person should be at least have 3 to 6 years experience working in Africa, right? So beyond your second class upper, what are the extra requirements? Again, as we're talking about scholarships and study abroad, there are some scholarships that are not university specific or program specific. You can obtain admission into a program, and based on your background, you can, and your eligibility, you can apply for a non-governmental or a non-university scholarship funding grant to sponsor your study in another university, as long as you meet the eligibility criteria of the university. So again, don't base your eligibility for admission only on your class, like on your GPA. There could be extra fulfillment that you need, but if you are basing it on GPA of, or a class of second upper, second upper is 3 point and above, as long as I know, and I think that that should earn you admission into suitable master's program globally. But getting admission can be different from or getting scholarship. So take note about that one. We are wrapping up. I promised my panelists that we will not keep too long. We were hoping to go only 1 hour, but because of the interruptions and stuff, I will take these few questions from Soga Emmanuel. I have 3 years undergraduate degree.
Maybe I can start answering whilst we wait for him.
Okay.
Yeah, you lost me. Please go ahead.
Okay. So yes, um, there's also similar to what I spoke about early on, admission requirements. Always check the school's website. They are going to plainly say if they will take a diploma or a 3 year undergrad degree. So in fact, every school's website they'll say what they would like the minimum degree requirement. There's no school website I've not seen that they say this is what they'll take, right? So check the website, do your research, Google a lot of schools. You can do state by state. I shared one video where I did like a Google Maps search, right? You can use Google Maps to search maybe California. Then you type in Google Maps all research universities in California. But then it will populate. Then you now pick the name of the schools. Then you go in there one by one. It's gonna involve a lot of hours. You go in there one by one. Okay, what are the admission requirements? For example, civil engineering. What is the minimum they will take? Are they going to take a 3 year undergraduate degree? And if they don't say 3 year undergrad degree, did they say diploma? Diploma is usually like 2 years, right? That means that your 3 year is more than a diploma. So you are eligible because the minimum is 2 years, then a 3 year is understandable and it's acceptable. So that's how you're going to do your research. Okay. And then you check, okay, GPA, yours is 3.56. What is the minimum they'll take? They will take 3.0. Okay, then I qualify. So number one, they said diploma, I qualify. They said 3.0, I qualify. So that alone, you know that you can apply for that master's program. It's going to take a lot of hours to be doing your research, but if you do it, I believe that there's nothing that can stop you if you really do your research and you find a school whose requirements you meet. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Emanuela, do you want to add to that or I should add?
Yeah, I wanted to add this point to it about the doing other professional development um, professional development
Courses.
courses and other things. Yes, whenever you're applying, and I just wanted to give some few clues. What you can, I mean, right now maybe you're sitting in the house, you don't know, your GPA is low and you don't know what to do. You can start by, registering some course relating to what you want to study in Coursera, EDS and all that too. Yes, just to update your knowledge and all that. Also, some people also are in the professional field, but they're applying for masters and PhD. They forget to write these important details such as grant writing, project management, and all that. Those are skills, and we still need them in your research and other areas of your life, especially as grad students and beyond. So I will advise that if you have skill of writing business plan, put it down. Depending on the program you are doing, put it down on grants, on project management, and all that. And then I think in tune with agriculture, I will use agriculture as an example. Now we have this high phenotyping, we have this modeling and all those things going on, even drones, the use of remote sensors and all that. So
Great.
you can start by just googling these things, and some place, if for instance you're in Ghana, some places you can search maybe a modeler or something in Ghana, it will give you, oh, this company is into this. You can walk in there and just get some knowledge because you may not have the infrastructure, but it's around you unless you search. You understand? So sometimes be there, just type, oh, maybe where to fly drones in Ghana or something. Some company may be having that. Just research more and then get that experience. Even you feeling knowing the part of drone, you can even take a picture the day you go. And for instance, if you're applying for something like agricultural engineering, you said, "Oh, I have never seen a drone before, but I took the initiative to, get in touch with the dealer, and I saw all those things." Why? That is like somebody who wants to learn, somebody who is curious, and that is one thing research is all about. You understand? So let's not take for granted those little things. It really matters. Trust me, it really matters. Curiosity and desire to know more. Yeah. So that's what I would say.
Thank you very much. For Emmanuel, okay, now you are giving further information. So now we can, I think that Danny actually dealt with your question very well. I was going to talk about the fact that in Europe, a lot of the universities are for 3 years undergraduate program, and then 2 years masters. So in 5 years, you already have masters in Europe, most of the universities. So I was going to ask where you studied and the undergraduate program you studied. And now you said you have a nursing background, so I assume that it's this diploma in nursing or whatever it is. Otherwise, um, if you have finished 4 year secondary education and then a 3 year uh, university or post-secondary education, that was an equivalent of a bachelor's or not. But now that I know that it's nursing, like diploma in nursing also, then follow the steps he gave you. Some of them do accept a diploma for masters, some do not. So find specific universities and do that. Again, one way to go around it is the credential evaluation. Sometimes they will evaluate your credential and it will put you at a level of bachelor's, and that will help you to apply for master's straight up. So take that. Emanuela, this question, I think it's more for you. Hello, please, I am already here in the US and done. Well, let me structure it properly. Hello, please. I am already here in the US and will be completing my master's program this spring. I planned to enroll for PhD, but most of the schools I applied to rejected my applications. Um, so maybe he or she is trying to, he seeking guidance, Charles Zomelo. So before Emanuela, who has the experience, would come in, I am beginning to think that certain things might not stand out clear in his application. He's not completed yet, right? And I'm not sure if the universities he's applying to qualifies him or allow him to apply for PhD program while he's still a master student yet to complete. Maybe that could be a reason for rejection, or depending on what he is studying now in the program he intends to study in the PhD program. If they are tangential to each other, probably he doesn't have the background to fulfill the study according to the evaluation of his application or not. But I think that you can be more useful here in terms of response. And maybe this would
Yeah,
be probably our
I
last question. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think he being master's transition into a PhD program should not be the problem. The problem is that maybe he's supposed to reach out to a faculty, and the faculty is supposed to, I mean, give him an assistantship before there could be an admission. You should double check on that. And this recent times is very hard for most students and graduate students because there've been some freezing going on with some grants, federal grants, and other things. So it's going to translate into some funding and then what is it called, assistantship. It's going to affect some assistantship. So even if a professor promised you to pick you or to I mean give you the opportunity to start your graduate studies in fall or something, you should be praying because so I think this March, ending of March, that they will know whether the freezing is going to be there or not. So just be prayerful about it because things are very hard, especially in the research sectors, and you can't really, I mean, say much about that. But what I would say is that one, it could be funding issues. Two, it could be that you are supposed to reach out to a faculty member in the department for them to agree that, oh, you are on their assistantship. Then they can give your name. You can go ahead and apply. So I don't know the program you are you're applying for, but that is what I may speculate, make my speculations about. Yeah, so mhm.
What I
That's
would want you to add is the experience you had getting your PhD, just quickly and briefly, because you see, sometimes finding yourself at the right place and speaking to the right people could spare you a lot of applications, you know. So maybe you
that's
can
true.
share that
Yeah,
briefly with
I
him.
think
And
yeah, I think with mine, I had I think I went for a conference and then I started talking to some professors and some colleagues that oh please I am completing I'll be completing my masters then I'll be completing my masters in this year and I'm looking forward to professor, talk to this professor. So I think one person directed me to my advisor then, and then as I was he was talking to other people. I was just standing there waiting for him, and when I turned, he was nowhere to be found. So I quickly sent him an email following up. That's why I met him. That blah 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 blah. Like I met him there, and then he said, "Oh, he saw he missed me and scheduled an interview for me." So make use of conferences, make use of other people. Your answered prayers is right there. So your colleagues from other universities, sometimes let them find out from other professors and all that. I think that could also be. So just re-strategizing your way of funding to those only email or applying for schools. Sometimes speak to the faculty because it's the faculty that gives the assistantship or the funding before they hand it over to the department and other things. So I think you should do it that way too. Yeah, it will work maybe. Yeah, that's what
Danny,
I'll say.
any addition to that?
Yeah, so worst case scenario, we also have to look at worst case scenario. You what if yes, you don't even get any opportunity, time is racing against you, and you have to go back home. Quickly, you have to apply for OPT
Mhm.
because you're a master student about to graduate. And once you are done with school and you're not entering a new program to maintain your F1 status, you have 90 days to leave the country. So, what is the worst case scenario and your next best option? It is to apply for OPT right now. Like right now after the interview, you have to start considering OPT as another option for you if you are not getting into any PhD program and you're about to graduate school for the spring semester. For me, I started applying, and if I had known this, I would have applied earlier. But I'm currently on OPT. I'm done with my master's. I didn't get into a PhD program, so I quickly, like, I'm in the workforce right now, and you have to apply early because it's also going to take about 2 to 3 months, no, even more than that, like a minimum of 3 months to get your work authorization card before you even start working. Once the card comes, you have 90 days to find a job or you leave the country. So if right now you are struggling to get into a PhD program, I would say that go for the OPT as your next best worst case scenario option. That's what I would say. Yeah, so you can reach out to your international office school and then of your school and then start talking with them. Let them know your situation and that you also want to explore the OPT route. That is one thing you can do whilst also talking to professors to get into a PhD program. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I don't know if the university he attended has a similar PhD programs that he can follow up on with his masters, and why he's not using those options, or if he has used those options and failed. But yeah, I think all your inputs are very commendable and useful. We have quite a number of questions. I think we've done our best. We have tackled the salient ones. If anybody is still having a question, or after listening to this will have questions, put them in the comment section. Where I have knowledge, I will reply to them accordingly. If it becomes necessary for a follow-up, I will speak to my colleagues to see when it will be appropriate to do so. Otherwise, I want to take the final words from them to share with you in terms of applying to study abroad and then scholarship application. Any tip for the audience, Danny and Emanuela?
Okay, so for me, I would say that keep researching. That's your safe haven. Keep researching. Don't sleep on your dreams. Yeah, so keep researching, put in the work, put in the hours, understand that it is going to be a battle, understand it's going to be hard along the line. There are times you feel like giving up. But if you truly mean to study abroad and if you truly have something in your heart you want to pursue overseas, then go for it. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Ella?
Yeah, as Danny rightly said, it's a journey. This whole thing is a journey. So you need to take the steps necessary to
There was a signpost, I think, around Kasua, between Kasua Weja or somewhere, Cape Coast Road. And, hey, sorry.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that as Daniel said earlier, one thing I would like to add is that it's a journey. It's a journey. You need to take one step at a time and be on top of things and be intentional about things, be disciplined about all this whole thing, and it will yield results. And even if it doesn't, keep on trying, it will yield results one day. So that is one thing I will add to what Daniel said.
All right, like she said, you failed once, and so what? If you have applied once, twice, thrice, and you are not successful, keep trying. Every time, go to the drawing board, see what you did wrong, and then correct them and go again. Network effectively, connect with like-minded people, connect with people who have gone ahead of you, learn a thing or two from them. Applying for scholarship and studying abroad can be a full-time something. So like Danny said, research, find where you have a bigger advantage in terms of getting admission and also getting funded. If your dream is to get to USA and you have tried several times to go from Ghana directly, but you are not successful, go through another means to go there. If you can go through Germany easily, or Canada easily, and later give you the opportunity to be in USA, use that route. Don't always stick to one. I mean, sometimes you can stick to one plan and then it will work out well for you, but sometimes it doesn't. So see, study the terrain, talk to experts, talk to experienced people, and learn more from them, going about your application for admission and your application for scholarship. Know that scholarships are quite competitive. Scholarship is very, very competitive. Invest time, invest some kind of money. For example, the credential evaluation will cost you money, application fees will cost you money. Sometimes there are expert people there, reviewing people statement of purpose and essays for them and charging them some amount and of money. As long as they will help you get what you want to get the scholarship, you may spend a $50 or $100 to get those services to sail through your application. But ultimately, try to learn a thing for yourself and do some of these things for yourself. It will save you a lot, especially if you don't have that financial muscles to cater for the services of experts. I wish you all the best in your search for study abroad. Don't focus only on scholarships, but also affordable tuitions can be considered. Free tuition can be considered, and maybe tuition free, yeah, can also be considered. So open up in your search, and wherever you find fortune, you go grab it, and it will be well with you. Thank you, Danny, for your time. I do really appreciate,
All
and
right.
pardon me for going beyond the agreed time. And for Emanuela, thank you so much. You have all been very generous with your time and your knowledge. Always ready to share with our audience. God bless you and replenish in many folds what you lost by spending time with us. Thank you.
All right.
And
Thank you too for having us on the show.
Yeah.
thank you. We'll talk again later and do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
All right. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye, Daniel.